Alright, so you want to make a map, right? You want to build your own base, you want to know what's up with that. Before you start building, I'm going to suggest you're going to want at least plating on the basic guard, the enforcer, and you should unlock the Hornet and put him on a short leash so that he stays on your flight path and doesn't just wander into things and get killed instantly or lured into the choke points. When it comes to what should you take to build, the most important thing is the gen mat, because that's how long the base can run before you have to either replace it or prestige it, which costs more money. So even though you see these two side by side, they're both big, and they both have oh no, this one has less capacity too. Wow. So this one has twice the gen mat capacity, so it will run twice as long, and probably twice as many players will play it between each prestiging. So even though it costs 250 more, you're going to get 1,000 more build points, which is like, I don't know, 10 guards and 500 blocks of building. It's a crazy difference. It's going to run twice as long. Which gen, the symbol doesn't affect what you have in your base. It only affects what gen mat you generate and what gen mat the raiders get when they complete your base. So basically useless. Don't know what the fire symbol means. I think that means it's in the desert, and then the new water world will have a different water symbol or something in a couple months or whatever. Capacity is pretty important, especially with small maps. If you have only the 750 capacity, you're only going to be able to have like 5 guards and maybe 100 blocks or something. It's something ridiculously bad. So 1500 is good. 3000 is probably good for 2. 4500 is the best for 3. 9000 is probably the best gen mat I've ever seen. For the smaller ones, maybe 6750 might be alright, but 9000, it's going to run a long time. It's got lots of capacity to build. So let's claim that one. So the first thing you want to do when you get to your new map, you see in the top right, 181 out of 4,500 capacity is taken up, right? You see all this random garbage everywhere? Look, you delete it and the capacity goes up. Every single random piece of garbage is taking up your capacity to build. So, and you know, some of it makes a neat path. Okay, that's great, but a lot of it is useless garbage all over the place. Best thing to do right off the bat here is strip the outpost completely bare. Now the bot can't make it, the game's upset about that, that's fine. First thing you do, get rid of all that garbage. I've seen bases, they're easily losing 50, 100 capacity. They could have another trap and another guard if they didn't have garbage everywhere. So just clean it out, and then take a look at the map. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to find these loot pinatas. These are full of loot. You smash them, you get loot. For anyone who doesn't know, so as a base builder, never ever block the loot pinatas. If you do that, I'm not giving you any accolades. You can make it a challenge, you can trap it, you can do whatever you want, but if I can't get this, you're getting no accolades. So small maps have 1, medium maps have 2, large maps have 3. So the size of the map determines how many loot pinatas it has, and of course the physical size of the map and total capacity limit. The difficulty of the map determines how much gen mat you get. It's like 900 for small, 1800 for medium, and 3600 for large. Give or take 50 or 100 points. It's basically what difficulty affects. So a small map could be difficult, a big map could be easy. The size and the difficulty are two separate things. Any map, no matter its size, has a limit of 20 guards. So whether you put them all in one room, whether you have them spread all over the place, you get, whether it's a small map, big map, normal or brutal map, it doesn't matter, 20 guards. That's the total amount you get. It says there's a variety of 6. There's only 4 unlocked in the game, so that presumably means there'll be 2 more eventually. For traps, I don't know if you get a bonus or anything for having a variety of traps. But there's no limit. It just seems to come off your capacity limit. Now, as far as the difficulty goes, the path the bot follows, traps that are directly on it are more dangerous. And the further the traps are away from the path, the less threat it adds towards pushing your difficulty up high. For guards, it's their cone of sight if they see the line or not. So the guards' basement matters. Guards see 7 hexes, 7 squares normally, unless you give them extended vision. Most traps, on the other hand, we'll see. What does the bolter see? We'll do a test here. We might as well check it all out, see what they see. All right, starting with the guards. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 5, 6. This guy got knocked back. I'm pretty sure it's 7. And we'll double check what the angle is on how far they can see. But the orientation of the guard does matter. As far as, you know, people, I've seen them have their guards just staring at a wall or something because they just slapped them down. The guards... So that trap shot 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It fired 9 squares and it fired at, where were we at, about 7? 7 squares away it saw me. 9 squares is how far the arrows traveled with no modifications. Now, these traps, the fire and the grappling hook, have about a 4 square range. How long does this one take to get that? 4 square range, and it only shoots, it locks on you if you're straight ahead of it, but it will arc at least 30 degrees up, down, sideways, even behind cover. You can grab onto your feet or something and pull you back out, or hook you onto the wall so you can't escape. The fire, let's see. Is there a way that... One, two, three, yeah, 4. It sees 4, shoots 4. Dragon's Breath upgrade adds 1 range, so it will see 5, shoot 5. That's not great for 20 points, but maybe in a particular case it could be useful. Let's see how far the plasma ball sees us. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 squares away it saw us. The hollow cube, you see this? You have to be right in the same square as it to trigger it. Unless you upgrade it, I think it'll be 2, but haven't bothered unlocking that because it doesn't seem that important. For the normal spear trap, it's 1, distance of 1. It sees 1, it shoots 1. Alright, now, when it comes to your activation, okay? It's inactive by default. Don't activate it until you're ready to go. Otherwise, people are going to be playing it while you're in the middle of editing it. Like, they'll each download it at whatever stage of building you're at. So put it in active so that people don't come in while you're making big changes, so it's not broken and they just walk through a hole and win the map in 2 seconds. So active is when you want people in it. Inactive is when it's in development. Now, when you first build a map, okay, you can use overdrive. This kind of describes what's happening, but it's missing some important details. So first of all, when you first build a map, your base, when it's first getting kills, you will get 100 gen mat for each kill. And so if you activate this, it will double it to 200. So as long as your map is getting at least 2 kills, then per person completing it, you're getting 400, losing 300, you're netting out to a 100 gain, okay? Now on top of this, it seems like this also drains the gen mat of the level faster, so the amount of hours goes down faster, but you're actually getting it, you're just extracting it faster. And it seems to me that you also get more, it pushes your map so more people will see it, is what it seems like. Maybe that's just the brutal. If enough people vote a map brutal, it gets more, or enough accolades makes a map more popular. Don't know. It's not really explained here. Now the other thing is you want to keep an eye on it if you are overdriving, because if your base is especially brutal, as it starts accumulating kills, you will get less and less gen mat per raid you're killed. So it will drop down until it's down to like 10. So then you're doubling it to 20, but you're losing 300 every time they capture it. So that's real bad, because you need at least 15 kills average just to break even, which is terrible. So the gen mat you mine, the base itself mines from this 9,000 pool. And normally that is the only source where it comes out of. So it's just a countdown timer. When you put it on overdrive, this 300 that gets stolen comes off of your 9,000 in this case. So you're losing, what's that, like a 30th of your total time that your base is operational each time somebody wins against you on overdrive. Okay? The gen mat you generate from kills does not come off of your pool. It comes off of nowhere. It's just added into the game. I'm sure they thought about originally making it more PvP, where people are stealing and losing from each other, but people probably didn't like that. It would really discourage people from playing any risky maps, hard maps. So I think they've come up with a good balance here. You put it on active. This is just a timer countdown. You extract this 9,000. Base goes from active to inactive on its own. You put it into overdrive. Your map gets pushed more. People, I don't know if the player gets rewarded more. I've never seen anywhere that you see that. But it seems like more people end up playing my maps when I put them on overdrive. You just do that until you've prestiged it once or twice. Now when it comes to prestiging, you see that you need a certain amount. It's not showing here yet. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, 125. So I need 125 points. Each kill will give you 10. And each accolade will give you probably also 10. So you're going to need about 13 kills plus accolades in order to be able to prestige this. If you cannot afford to prestige this, if your map is not good enough that people either don't die to it or don't vote it up with the thumbs up at the end of the map, then the map will be stuck in operable and there's no way to make it come again. You just have to get rid of it and buy a new blank map and start all over from scratch. So before you hit activate and start consuming up your gen mat, you want to make sure your map is either somewhat hard but not so punishingly hard that people rage quit off of it, and preferably try to make it artistic or interesting, fun, so that people give it thumbs up. So you want to get kills and thumbs up so you can prestige it, so you can just keep working on this one map, right? So you probably want to start on making a major kill room somewhere along the way and closing your thing, and then as you go, each time you prestige it, you're going to increase your capacity, right? Each time you prestige it, it says you're going to get 175 capacity. That's probably going to be every time I prestige it, up to 10. So we're potentially looking at over 5,000 capacity, maybe almost 6,000. I don't know. I've never seen that high. But especially if you have lower capacity maps. Again, small, I would not recommend even buying it unless it's the full 1,500 to start, because you're not going to be able to afford enough guards and traps to do anything. If you're doing a small one, go for the full 1,500. So that way you can get, you can put in 10 of these little guys. Maybe you can put in 10 guys all together with armor and gear as you upgrade. Maybe 6 of those and 4 Hornets, something like that to get started. 750, your 10 guards is going to take up all your capacity. You're not going to have any traps. It's just silly. With a huge map like this, like This is a ridiculous amount of space. There's no need to fill it all. You're just gonna bore people and they'll just quit. If you make a labyrinth that goes on forever, nobody wants to spend an hour wandering in a labyrinth when they could spend 2 or 3 minutes having a fun time actually fighting guys and traps and whatnot. So try not to make it excessively maze-like. Guard positioning and patrols. So whenever you place a guy, they fit right dead smack in the middle of the cube. You can rotate them using your rotate buttons, which way you want them to face to start off. But I generally recommend you're always going to want to put them down, record a patrol, and keep them looking around, right? Like, a guard, first of all, it's boring if they're just standing there, and second of all, they have huge blind spots. They're kind of useless if they're just standing still. This way, they can do stuff. You go back to where they are, you push the button. Now the guy's gonna just keep doing that same loop over and over again. And it makes them more interesting and more effective. Otherwise, they might as well just be a trap. Now, of course, the big advantage of one of these guys over, say, a bolt trap is that they have unlimited ammo. They can just keep shooting forever, and they cost the same amount as a bolt trap, which by default only shoots once. You can upgrade to make it shoot twice. This guy can shoot infinite. So, in my experience, maybe I'll show a heat map of one of my maps, but you'll see a cloud of all the kills. 90% of the kills come from the guards. The traps, in my opinion, are just there to assist. So we could, we could put a trapdoor there. Player kills the guard, gets speared by it sometimes. It's funny. And then they learn and they don't do that a second time. But traps on their own, unless you just put an absurd amount of traps in one little cluster that people just have to run and things are exploding and fire and everything everywhere. Something ridiculous, or exploding plasma generators. Normally, guards are the main source of kills. And if you keep them moving around, you keep them in cover. Now, the advantage also of putting him somewhere like this is he's naturally tethered to there, right? He can't leave those squares. So I don't have to anchor him to his path. There is a mod you can get, which I haven't unlocked for this guy's, because you just don't put them on the flat ground. Otherwise, you can just lure them into a choke point and kill them all. So for the walkers, all 3 of the walkers, you can just set them on a path, put them on a elevation like this, so they don't wander down into the traps and into the choke points and get stabbed in the face. And they're 100 times more effective. These guys, you can make them fly up and down and all around. You can make your path as long as you want. You can have guards go from the front all the way to the gen mat and back if you want. You can have it auto-complete, so let's see what that does. Let's see how well it does getting itself back to where we want it. So it's going to fly along there, going up and down and all around. And then when we auto-complete, what's he going to do? Where is he auto-completing? It's not terrible. He's basically pathing straight back to where he started, and then he repeats the loop. Great. But of course, he sees a player, he's going to start following the player. They go around a corner into a doorway or something. He'll fly down low and get killed. So, really, you want to leash these guys. Keeps them, it says 1.5 meters. I don't know if that's a block and a half. If these square blocks are 1 meter by 1 meter. It's kind of weird when everything's in cubes and you start talking about meter units, mixing and matching, but lashing them to their course that keeps them from getting baited. For any of the walkers, well, especially the shooters. I mean, the sword guys, you kind of want them to run into the guys. What do they call them? Warmongers. That's fine. They're going to run up. Now, guys can only go as far as the bot can go, so they can only come up to about here. And they'll just stand there and wait to be killed. They just won't do anything. The shooters can shoot as far as they can see, but when a player first spawns in, they're sort of invulnerable, and it is an excessive amount of range, so I don't think they can see that far. So putting a cheap guy here trying to shoot players as they're loading in doesn't work. But you can have fire chasing after people. Wow, that guy's got really long sight. What's going on there? So once we're past here, we can escape. So this is about here is about as far as a guy can come. They could shoot. It's probably, but yeah, you're still within shooting range, so you could still get shot. If someone was chasing you, they could still fire. They were like there. There. Just as an addendum to that, also, for all the other directions, the guards cannot go past these edge here where you can build. They just stop and stand, especially the warmongers, they'll just stand there useless. The other guys can still shoot, but they can't lunge attack or do anything beyond this boundary. And the player does not have to go back to the start to leave. They can run off into the desert, and once you get about here, same distance, if they have the gen mat, it'll let them leave. It's the last thing to cover here, the decals. You can only have 25 different decals, but they can just be any ones. Any surface that has a decal on it, or on this topic of decals, cannot have a trap. Cannot put a trap if there's a decal. You can put lights on top of decals. So these, whatever they call the props. Props and decals can share a tile. Traps cannot share a tile with props or decals. For props, they're in packs of, you can have up to 5 packs. So we see here, these 3 things all have the same little widget symbol. So that is an active pack. We can use any of these 3. Okay. For the decals, it's unique decals. So we can use the same decal as many times as we want, but we can only use 25 different decals. This is all probably memory related. So here we go. We have these 3. Some of the decals create light, and one of the advantages with that is the game does seem to have a bit of dynamic range lighting. You get some sunlight, you get electric light. So you can have it light where the player is and dark further back, and they won't be able to see the guards as easily to be able to shoot them, or you can try to hide some spike traps that way. Also, there's some of these make a racket, and it's movement and it's clutter. So one thing you could do, you can slap down a bunch of these things in order to hide the noise of, not these guys. These guys make way too much noise, but some of the traps are pretty quiet. The bull trap is obviously absurdly loud. It's the easiest to avoid because it sets off an alarm when it fires, but things like the fire trap and the, what is it called now? The Impaler. The Impaler and the Fire Trap, Incinerator, very quiet. If there was a lot of racket going on, somebody might not hear them. The Bomb Ejector and the Bolt Shot both set off an alarm when they go off. The Piston is very loud. You can hide pistons inside the wall just to create more noise, but it goes in... Now, it seems like they've fixed this so that the pistons stop to let the harvester through, but it will squish your other guys, so it's not good. Probably don't use them wherever you intend to have guys, because they'll all just get mushed. All of your traps can kill your own guys, so these ones, for example, it's not going to trigger unless the player steps on it, Whereas if it was a bolt trap, the player could be 4 squares above it and it would go off and kill the guy. So that's not ideal. Acid cubes. The good thing about the acid cubes is they're very bright, so if it's dark and behind, this can really do the same effect as lights, but on a much greater scale. Now, by default, a player can pass through 1 cube without dying, as long as they're going fast enough. I've never made it through 2. I don't know, maybe if you had a lot of speed or if you cut through the corners or something, you might be able to survive 2 cubes. But using these as surrounding your main point is not a good idea, because someone can just grapple through, grab the thing, grapple back through, and they're done. Totally useless. You can make them solid. That's a modifier you can add on to them. You can make them opaque so that people can't see through them. You can make them splash, which I like to do at choke points, so that when someone shoots it, it splashes acid back, and if someone stands in it, they dissolve. Kind of neat, pretty niche. I like these the most for their ability, especially in dark places underground, with dark colored walls, not white walls. If you have the white walls, it reflects light too much and it's light, but in the darker levels, you can have it like this. You can have a guard, 7 cubes back in the dark, this up close, and the guard's moving around. It's a lot harder for the person to shoot them. That's mostly for players that poke the choke, not for people that are speed running through your level. But you got to kind of come up with some different combination of guards and traps to affect different kinds of players with different loadouts. You can dual wield crossbows. This is more of a rating tip. Maybe we'll save that for another one. But you can have 2 weapons and you can just fire them both. You don't have to switch which one's in your hand. You just go. So you can shoot the heavy one, break off the armor, and then the light one to get the kill real fast. Same with the swords. You can swing the heavy sword, break the armor, and the light sword right after. Just pap, and just instantly delete an armored guard. Not really a building tip, although I guess it's something to consider as a builder. That some guys are gonna have sword and shield, some guys double sword, some guys double crossbow, and how that's gonna affect. I guess you just try to come up with a variety of things rather than trying to be a one-trick pony. Guess that's it for Meet Your Maker base building basics.